Right, thank you very much for that introduction, Simon, and sincere apologies from Sir Howard, and thanks very much, though, for the opportunity to take part in this vital discussion. You might be a little disappointed to hear that I would argue right from the start that there is not a definitive answer to the title of this evening's event. Cities and transport are mutually reinforcing and independent facilitators of economic growth. Modern cities cannot exist without transport and other infrastructure, and without modern cities there will be little need for transport infrastructure. Land use planning and transport planning are two sides of the same coin, and both inform and both are informed by each other. Transport infrastructure develops to serve existing communities, but it can also shape where and how new communities and new business areas are developed. And at different points in the economic cycle, one may dominate more than the other. As Manchester and our great cities grew in the past, they gave rise to the demand for improved transport to support their continued future growth. In Manchester's case, this led, amongst other things, to the first passenger railway station in the world, the Manchester Ship Canal, and more recently, the airport, all key pieces of infrastructure of their time. For example, when this ship canal opened in 1894, it was the largest river navigation canal in the world and enabled the newly created port of Manchester to become Britain's third busiest port, despite being 40 miles inland. Today, we continue to focus investment on City Region's strategic transport network to further enhance local, national and international connectivity. This investment strengthens and widens our labour markets, which is critical to our future success, and enables businesses to reduce their costs by moving people and goods more quickly, easily and reliably. And now, thinking of our tomorrows, we are currently developing a 2040 transport vision, but importantly in parallel with a new spatial framework for the city region, following very much the leading example of London's three pillars of economic, land use and transport strategies. Significant improvements have been made in public transport over the last few years, including in Greater Manchester a huge expansion of the Metrolink network to places like Ashton, Oldham, Rochdale, Didsbury and Manchester Airport, so that now it is carrying over 30 million passengers per annum and providing enhanced access to the city centre for many more parts of the conurbation. We're coming to the end at the minute of our £1.5 billion Greater Manchester Transport Fund, delivering new bus priority, transforming interchanges and increasing our park and ride. But crucially, that fund is a collaborative mix of local, central and private sector funding. Cities need to back themselves. I'm therefore certainly not going to argue that transport investment is not important. We all know that it is one of the critical ingredients that need to be in place to deliver more resilient, competitive and productive cities. On its own, however, it isn't enough. Transport investment needs to take place within a wider investment framework that supports the key roles that cities have to play in the national economy. Skills, housing, employment, education are all vital ingredients. For cities to succeed in the modern world, transport investment therefore needs to go hand in hand with investment in the places that transport networks serve and in the people that live, work and spend their time there. It's about people and place, and transport is the catalyst and the lifeblood. So now turning to how cities are shaping transport. Cities are the key drivers of our national economy, probably to a greater extent today than has ever been before. The knowledge-based industries that drive our economy are increasingly concentrating themselves in cities. Our cities need to be successful, productive and attractive. If we're able to compete with other European cities and across the world, particularly with the rapidly growing economies of the Far East. It is because cities are of such economic importance that we have been working hard to see greater powers devolved to them so that the economic potential can be fully realised. So again, in Greater Manchester, our recent devolution agreement marks an important step forward and provides greater capacity to control key investment decisions and focus our resources on delivering growth and prosperity through connectivity. As far as our strategic transport network is concerned, that responsibility and provision of a transport budget sits with our combined authority. However, if in due course an elected mayor agrees to adopt powers to franchise the local bus network, this will give us power to shape our bus services, including fares, routes and frequency, in response to local factors and to more effectively support our growth plans. And thinking about rail and beyond Rail North, across the whole of the North, in Greater Manchester we have proposals for greater control and influence over rail stations management and also shared services of our strategic highway network. For a city to be successful, it must therefore have a transport network which is based on a clear understanding of the role and function of places and the offer that those places can actually make. In GM, we've been working hard in developing an integrated transport plan by mapping the investment needed against our growth poles and our growth areas. The plans for the expansion of our transport systems, and in particular the Metrolink network, has been aligned with and in turn a vital element of our wider regeneration and growth strategy for the conurbation. The extensions to East Manchester, Wythenshawe and the airport are part of that bigger plan. And the lessons here for cities is we cannot simply allow the city of yesterday to shape the city of today. I'm sure Sir David will pick up the fact that we have once-in-a-generation projects like HS2, Trans-North and Crossrail 2 to now grapple with. These are clearly about changing the economic geography, and so transport professionals need to find the way to properly work with urban planners and economic developers to find new ways of assessing, designing and funding transformational infrastructure. Work undertaken recently by Voltaire and Partners for TfL and Transport for Greater Manchester looked at the need for a new appraisal systems, highlighting a mismatch between central government's ambition to boost job and growth in cities and the current system to prioritise transport investments and funding. That is now moving forward in terms of looking at the new appraisal mechanisms that are needed to take forward our transport investment programmes. It's also important to recognise that this is a dynamic process with a long time lag, and therefore the imperative is to act early within the cycle rather than wait until it is too late to do anything. Transport networks and services must continue to respond to changes in both the forces driving the economy within a city and the fabric of that urban area. For example, for Manchester city centre, HS2s arriving at Piccadilly will have a significant impact on the geography of the city and the city region, and we will work together to ensure that the city shapes HS2. Across the county, our network continues to evolve to ensure it's well placed to serve emerging sectors of our economy, such as science and advanced manufacturing clusters along the Oxford Road corridor, where the city's universities and main hospitals are based. We need to fully understand the fundamental shifts in those markets and how business models within transport and other sectors need to change in order to be able to have our true transport offer. Across GM, our key growth poles, with developments counting into billions and job forecasts in the tens of thousands, they will strongly influence transport. Our challenge collectively is to use the transport investment to shape the city in terms of how we ensure that the whole of Greater Manchester can become part of these development success stories. Then at the pan-northern scale, building on High Speed 2, the city regions through the Transport for the North Partnership are determined to deliver our ambitions to rebalance the economy through transformed connectivity. which adds to not only the northern economy, but to UK PLC. And as well as that transport, as well as transport responding, similarly, there are key challenges which are created by changes in our cities, in which transport must play a key role in providing solutions. For example, as both the resident and workday population of our cities continues to grow, how do we deliver efficient transport networks in order to minimise congestion? As we look to our major ports, like Liverpool and the Humber, to drive a resurgence in our freight and logistics markets, how do we achieve a step change in freight? If the economy is to continue to grow, how can we achieve this without unsustainable carbon emissions and serious environmental impacts? And finally, some concluding thoughts. As our cities continue to grow, we need to strike an appropriate balance between the need for cities to be well connected and the need for cities to make a more vibrant and attractive place to work, live and visit. Sometimes there is a tension between these two objectives. Transport infrastructure, whilst providing a vital service, often does not contribute positively to a sense of place. However, in an increasingly competitive global world, we must ensure that our transport systems add to a city's success and attractiveness rather than detract from it. In this context, the concept of developing smart cities is increasingly important. In particular, the potential of technology and big data to enable cities and their residents and their businesses to shape on-demand transport more effectively. This is clearly an exciting but challenging time for cities. Much needed major investment is being made in our infrastructure. And as cities, we continue to play a major part in justifying the vital case for long-term investment to match our ambitions. And in considering that ambition, it's important always to remember that transport is only a means to an end. It is the future prosperity and well-being of our cities and all the people who live and work in them that really matters. And our transport systems are the servants of cities rather than the masters. Thank you.